With that, we bring in Republican Senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton. He sits on the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees. He served almost 5 years in active duty in the Army, including tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Senator, good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. So that sounds like a really scary movie where you wake up one morning, the water makes you sick, the infrastructure is coming down, the internet service is disrupted, and slowly but surely everybody figures out that the country is under attack by Chinese hackers. Is that a realistic threat? And if so, why are we unprepared for it?
Martha, sadly, Chinese hackers of critical infrastructure is a realistic threat, shutting down our water systems, our electric grid, air traffic control, port controls, train yards. The list goes on. Just last week, I introduced legislation to address threats to our food supply and the agriculture industry. China, no question, has this intent and is developing the capabilities to launch these attacks as well. You heard Director Wray say because of China's size and the amount of resources they put against this threat, it's very hard just to defend them. What we have to do is convince China that we can get on offense. Whatever they might do to us, we could do to them several times over. That's the way you deter, whether you're in the cyber world or the real military world. Unfortunately, what you have with President Biden is Uncle Sam wearing a kick me sign. China is not deterred, just like we saw last weekend. Iran in the Middle East is not deterred. Vladimir Putin is not deterred as well. And until we restore America's respect and credibility in the world, these threats are going to magnify.
I mean, obviously, I think that a lot of Americans listen to this and they go back to my original question. Why are we so unprepared? Why is this such a threat? Because I've asked these questions before of our officials, and they say, well, we actually have a lot of capability to block this kind of thing. Do we or don't we?
Well, Martha, we do have a lot of capability, but as we saw in the attacks on our troops in Jordan last weekend, when 3 were tragically killed and several dozen were wounded, some critically, if your strategy is a purely defensive strategy, you have to succeed 100% of the time. We have to stop every Chinese hacker. We have to stop every rocket or one-way attack drone coming from Iran and its terrorist forces. What has to happen is to get back on offense against our adversaries and convince them that we mean business and that whatever they think they might be able to do to us, we can do 5 or 10-fold worse to them. It worked against Soviet Russia. It can work against communist China as well.
Okay, we know that you feel very strongly about TikTok and the threat that it presents to Americans and the infiltration that is possible from the Chinese government into anybody that has a TikTok account. Here is, when we've been watching these heads of all of these technology companies, including Mark Zuckerberg, some very powerful moments from all of this. This is an exchange that you had with the CEO of TikTok a short time ago. Let's play this.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, okay. I'm Singaporean.
What were you getting at there? It's getting a lot of attention. Singapore is obviously self-governed, has been since 1959. Do you have some kind of information on this TikTok CEO that we should be aware of?
Well, first off, he acknowledged that TikTok is under the control of the company that has its own internal Chinese Communist Party committee. He himself worked for a company before he went to TikTok and ByteDance that was sanctioned by the United States government as a Chinese communist-controlled military company. TikTok and its parent ByteDance answers to China. And of course, you can be affiliated with or associated with the Chinese Communist Party anywhere in the world. The Biden administration has many cases against American citizens who have been collaborating with and working on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. Singapore, unfortunately, is one of the places in the world that has the highest degree of infiltration and influence by the Chinese Communist Party. So Mr. Chu has a lot to answer for what his app is doing in America and why it's doing it.
So you feel that you were justified in the line of questioning, and I'll just ask you again, do you have any evidence that he's a member of the CCP?
No, Martha, what I have is his record of working at companies that have been sanctioned because they are associated with and directed by the Chinese Communist Party, or working at a company that has internal Chinese Communist Party committees. it's entirely reasonable to pursue a line of questioning about whether he himself, like his company, is subject to the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. And Martha, he wouldn't even answer questions at that hearing about whether, say, China is committing genocide against the Uyghur people or whether Xi Jinping is a dictator. What is he scared of? Why won't he answer those questions?
Good questions. Very good questions, Senator. Before I let you go, we watch these hearings. They come every 6 months or so, and nothing really happens. There's not really a lot of increase in safety for kids online. Cut back in kiddie porn, horrific things that people see online, because in many cases these companies are very strong lobbyists for members of Congress on Capitol Hill. Is it going to be any different this time?
Well, I hope, Martha, that Congress takes actions to reduce the harms that our kids face from all of these platforms. I have very simple legislation that's bipartisan that would say parents get a say over whether their minor children are going on to these platforms. Just like you have in the real world, you should have in the digital world. Parents get to determine what their children are doing. I hope we can pass simple, straightforward legislation like that empowers parents and protects kids.
I think we all do. As for now, parents are in the wild, wild west trying to protect their kids on their own, and it's a pretty tall task. Senator, thank you very much. Senator Tom Cotton, hope we'll see you soon. Good to have you with us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.